Welcome to CHIRLA TV, the immigrant voice. I am your host, Edgar Aguilar.
And I'm Diana Lucero.
And today we're going to be talking about two very important topics. In the first half of the show, we'll be talking about the DREAM Act. And for that, we're joined by a wonderful guest from CHIRLA, the Coalition for Humane Immigrant Rights. She is Janeth Bucio, who is one of the leaders at the California DREAM Network for CHIRLA, which is our college students, I believe, right? Welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and the work you do with CHIRLA.
Well, I'm the Orange County organizer for the California DREAM Network, which is the largest undocumented ally and workers network here in the West Coast. And what we do is we push for legislation that is pro-immigrant in the federal and the state level.
Great, great. How do students get involved into your organization?
We do a lot of outreach to students. We started out with college students. We actually started in 2003 from our Wise Up group, the high school component of CHIRLA's organization, which pushed for the state legislation AB 540, which allowed undocumented youth to pay in-state tuition here in California. So from there, a lot of the leaders went on to college, and that's where the California DREAM Network came about.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we've had Katia Garcia here in the show twice already talking about Wise Up and the different workshops that the CHIRLA puts together for college education, financial aid. And so what I understand is that people start at the Wise Up level with high school, and from there they start getting more and more involved with CHIRLA, end up with the California DREAM Network at the college level.
Yes.
Awesome.
So we know that you work with a lot of college students, right? Typically, they're the ones that would be able to qualify for the DREAM Act. So can we have a discussion about what the DREAM Act is?
Yeah, so the Federal DREAM Act is a federal legislation that would give more of a permanent solution, pathway to citizenship for a lot of undocumented youth that came here at a young age. As you know, DACA was rescinded back in 2017 by the current administration. So there's a lot of people who are young, who are supposed to age into DACA in order to help them work here in the US and also be deferred from deportation. So unfortunately, that was rescinded, and now we're trying to push for something more permanent, which is the Federal DREAM Act.
Okay, and when you say you're pushing, does that mean that CHIRLA is doing something at the local level, at the state and federal level at the same time? Are there?
Yeah, definitely this in the federal level. In the local level, in the state, we are pushing for a lot of progressive immigrant legislation. But in the federal level, this is definitely something that we want everyone to benefit. So the Federal DREAM Act is our campaign for the year.
Great. So you also mentioned that folks can no longer apply for DACA, correct? So if the DREAM Act were to pass, how many people would be able to benefit from it?
It's close to about 800,000 to 1.5 million that would benefit from this.
Wow, that's a huge number. That's a lot of people who would need the support of this.
Yeah. So it's very important that we get a lot of folks to actually come and help us out with this. Even though we have amazing leaders now, I think now more than ever, we need folks from our community to step up and actually come out and help us with pushing this legislation to pass the House of Representatives.
And so how can someone get involved with the California DREAM Network to keep pushing for this progressive agenda?
That's a good question. You can either join, go online at CHIRLA.org. Well, you can find me, Janeth Bucio, the Orange County organizer, or Melody, who's the statewide organizer of the California DREAM Network, or Rosa Barrientos, who's the Northern Region organizer for the California DREAM Network. And whatever every area or region that you're from, just contact us and we'll go to you and we'll give you all the materials that you need in order to build your leadership skills to push for legislation like the Federal DREAM Act.
It sounds amazing. So you guys are in the whole state. So it doesn't matter what college you go to, you can always contact an organizer in that region to help you be part of the movement and continue this progressive agenda for the movement for immigrant rights. So contact Janeth, Melody, Katia, and Rosa, all our great leaders from the youth program, not only high school, but college as well, so you can also get involved. Welcome back to CHIRLA TV, the immigrant voice. We're here with Janeth Bucio talking about the California Dream Network, which is the college youth group that CHIRLA leads, where they learn how to be leaders in their community, in their colleges, and really be active in pushing for progressive agendas for the immigrant community.
Thank you for joining us, Janeth.
Thank you
So
for having
we
me.
know that the work that you do is really important. You're really out here empowering the youth. And we know that the youth is our future. Can you talk a little bit about how you've seen some of your students grow?
Yeah, it's amazing to see many of them kind of be in their own little shell, and then once we throw them into any event that we're having or workshops and they kind of find their own voice, just how much they are willing to throw down for the movement. So it's a really amazing thing to witness as an organizer.
And you are in the Orange County region, correct?
Yes.
Which colleges are you involved in? Where are you looking to expand?
There's a lot of campuses, but to name a few, we have from Rio Hondo College all the way to UC Riverside, just to give you an idea of the campuses that are active with the California Dream Network.
That's great. And what kind of people tend to get involved? Are they all undocumented?
No, it's kind of all over the place. I mean, mainly we do a lot of work for undocumented immigrant rights, but there's also folks that are from mixed status family, like myself. I have citizenship from the last immigration reform, but my other half of the family is undocumented, and there's many people like that in CDN. But we also have allies who are just connected with people that are undocumented that want to be part of this movement, and folks that also have TPS.
Wonderful. So all over Orange County, great reach, but I understand that you're also all over California.
Yeah, we have campuses from as high as Humboldt University, Central Valley, so we have folks from Stanislaus, and then we have also, of course, like our big group in LA. So we're all over.
Sounds like a really diverse campuses, a lot of diverse communities that you're reaching, a lot of diverse students, all of different majors, I presume. They're not just like social, studying for social workers or studying for being educators or anything like that, but all different types of students you get to work with.
Yeah, that's right. A lot of the students here are very passionate for what they're pushing for. Many of them are affected by it, or one of their loved ones is affected by it. So it doesn't really matter what kind of like major they are. They're just there for the fight and ready to push for some progressive immigration legislation, which we haven't really seen with this current administration for a while.
So we know that CHIRLA is also based in Washington, D.C. Is there any work that the organizing team does over in Washington, D.C. to help this kind of population?
Yeah, we do a lot of lobbying work in Washington, D.C. We actually just sent a delegation this week to talk about more about the Federal DREAM Act TPS bill. We're trying to talk to Congress members to co-sign the bill, or at least go out and support it once it actually is introduced on the floor.
So up next, we're going to have some folks from Carecen, where we're going to have a deeper discussion on TPS.
Welcome back to CHIRLA TV, the immigrant voice. So we had Janeth talk about the California Dream Network, and now we're going to be discussing TPS, or the Temporary Protective Status. And for that, we have two wonderful guests from Carecen, the Central American Resource Center here in Los Angeles. Welcome. Welcome to CHIRLA TV. We have Alexandra and Evelyn. Welcome to CHIRLA TV.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. So we know that Carecen is actually down the street from CHIRLA's headquarters. Can you talk a little bit about the work that Carecen does with the immigrant population?
Yes, it's correct. So Carecen is a Central American Research Center. We're the largest Central American nonprofit organization in the United States. We've been doing advocacy around immigrant rights at the local, state, and national level for more than 35 years. Specifically with TPS, also, aside from immigration services, what we're doing right now is being an anchor organization for the National TPS Alliance, which is a campaign for TPS led by TPS holders and TPS families.
Great. So I think it's really important to highlight what is TPS. Can you give us a little bit of history of what it is?
Of course. So I want to start first by saying TPS stands for Temporary Protective Status. And TPS is a program in which countries are giving a designation when they're undergoing different challenges, for example, environmental catastrophes or civil wars. And then the Department of Homeland Security is the one that makes this designation and says which countries are eligible for that. And some of the countries right now that have TPS designation are impacted by the TPS terminations have had these protections since 1990, 1991. So we're talking about decades. And we're often familiar with the Central American countries that have TPS, right? Like Honduras, El Salvador, Nicaragua. However, there's many other countries, 13 countries in total, that include Nepal, that include Haiti, right? That include Syria, that include Sudan, South Sudan, Yemen, Sierra Leone, Liberia, DAD, Guinea. These are a bunch of different countries, and many of them, every single time that there is a redesignation from 6 to 12 months, they have to re-register. They have to do background checks. Many of these folks have gone over 13 background checks every single time, and many of them have had TPS for almost 20 decades, which also includes 20 years of paying taxes.
Right. And so we know that these folks have been here for, you just mentioned, over 20 years, so they have a whole family and history here, right? So you work with this population. What kind of stories have you heard about what do they have to lose if this is something that's renewed?
That's great. And one thing that we don't understand is why we can't really we don't hear enough urgency around TPS giving what's at stake, right? And right now, I mentioned that a lot of these TPS holders have paid their taxes for many years, are homeowners or small business owners. Many of them helped construct around Katrina, after natural disasters like that, or even some of our TPS holders have helped construction of the Pentagon, for example. But beyond, being such an important part of the social fabric of the United States, there's also over 350 U.S. citizen children that these Tepecianos have. The ratio from Tepeciano to U.S. citizen children is almost 1-to-1. So it's very clear that TPS holders as well as DACA recipients are the next wave of family separations. And if we were really worried about the family separations that were happening in 2018 at the border, and we call that a crisis, imagine the humanitarian crisis that we have on our hands if we don't take action on this soon.
I totally hear you. I actually had not really got involved with TPS until I heard it from one of my friends. He's actually from Nepal. He's an old roommate, and he talked about TPS. I wasn't too familiar with it, and then I had another friend who came from Sierra Leone, and also same story with TPS. And I heard a term you use, Tepecianos. Is that a colloquial little word that people use around, or?
Yes, Tepecianos. That's something Tepecianos have owned, and we follow, their lead on that, of course. But it basically means TPS holders, TPSers in English.
No, it's pretty cool. And, Evelyn, you are also with Carecen.
Yes.
And what is it that you do with them? How are you involved with Carecen?
Yeah, I've been involved with Carecen since 2000. As a volunteer, in fact, 2011, they hired me as an organizer. So I have a big history with Carecen. I am TPS holder.
Okay.
Yeah, and I am the one that organized in the community, fighting for the right for legislative passing through in the Senate and Congress with the community. And we are there in the National TPS Alliance. We get in there to fighting for ourselves, to stay in this country and being in the situation to being separated with our family.
So you started as a volunteer. Were you already a TPS holder when you started getting involved with
Yes.
Carecen? Is that how you found out about Carecen, through your TPS holding, or?
No, I have my kid in another program. I'm mother of three child, and then being in another program. And when the program of the TPS come out, the coordinator of the other organization, YNCA,
Okay.
I was the YNCA member, she sent me or referred to Carecen to apply for the TPS, and then I start to participate. I believe in all the work Carecen doing for our community. So, and I start being involved, participating in all the activity they provided to the community. And since that, I won't stop. And now I can say I don't have a fear to fight for my right to stay in this country.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I think you have a very powerful story, and I definitely want to hear more about it. But we'll continue this when we come right back. Welcome back. So we left off with Evelyn's story, and I really want to come back to her story. So Evelyn, can you continue in telling us how it is that you've been fighting for the community?
Well, I started organizing the community with Carecen, try to mobilize and conscientize to our members of TPS holders. And we are fighting to stay in this country, to not being separate with our family. You know, our family being living with this struggle. So I am ready to stand in to fight it up for myself, for my right, and for those that they have been in the shadow. They don't want to do nothing. But look, we don't have nothing to lose. We already lost the temporary status. So if you don't fight, nobody can do it for you. Just stand up, raise your voice, fight for yourself, and look for your community. Maybe right there is members of TPS holder. They start organizer and start doing legislative visit in the local community. So follow us in National TPS Alliance if you wanna know more about it and more about our work we do in the community. And
Evelyn, how long have you had TPS for?
wow, I've been with TPS since 2001.
2001. What would it mean for you to have to go back to your home country?
I am mother. I live with my kid all my life. I can imagine my life without them. And they are already in the university and college. So do you think I want to miss that?
No, of course not.
Yeah, no. That's what I'm fighting. That's what I am here. That's what I raise my voice. And I want to stop. You know, 1 year ago, I living with the fear in front, behind, and the side of me. Not anymore. Right now, I am standing, and I have to scream to whoever I have to. But I fight for myself. I fight for my family, for my kid, and I want to see in their face, at least I do something for them.
We're seeing amazing work that you're doing as an organizer in the community, really pushing for this progress. And at the same time, I feel like you're not alone. There's a lot of a bigger community that can be part of it, that they can get involved, that they can push with people like you. And I want to understand a little bit more what it is that people who are not precisely TPS holders, but they want to be allies, they want to be part of it, they want to support the community, what can they do?
That's a really great question. One of the things that I want to highlight is that, you know, even though there's been litigation, lawsuits around TPS holders, and specifically the litigation Ramos versus Nielsen has allowed an extension for certain TPS holders until 2020, that only includes 4 countries. That only includes Haiti, El Salvador, Nicaragua, Sudan, but that's it. In either way, that's an extension, and I think it's really important when we're thinking about next steps and how to engage. I think it's really important to understand that no litigation and no court ruling will lead to a permanent solution for TPS holders and even for dreamers too.
So how do we get to that permanent solution?
Right, so as far as next steps, that means that now more than ever, it's really critical for members of of the community, TPS holders, those directly affected, dreamers, to be civically engaged. That means connecting with your members of Congress, because a permanent solution is going to require bipartisan congressional action. If you don't know who your representative is, you can go to house.gov and you can find who your representative is there. It's right now, it's a time where we need to put humanity over politics, and that we're really leading with and asking for and collaborating with to really gain genuine community-driven policy.
So thank you so much for sharing your story. I think your story is not unique. We know that it's all over, and TPS holders as well as dreamers and other communities that got left out of a permanent solution are really going to benefit. So it's not just enough to go out and vote. We really need folks to get civically engaged. Like Alex mentioned, learn who your representative is. Learn who is your senator, not just locally, but statewide and national-wide. So thank you so much for joining us, and we hope to see you soon and see all the great work that you're both doing for the community.
So to stay involved here, remember to check out Carecen. They have their website. Stay involved with CHIRLA as well, CHIRLA.org. Follow all social media, stay at top of it, because this is not something that stops here. We need to continue growing. We need to continue advocating for our TPS holders, for our dreamers, so that we finally have permanent solutions. We don't want to keep going left and right. We want to just give direct permanent solutions. So really, thank you so much for joining us here at CHIRLA TV. We really appreciate it. Appreciate you. Thank you so much, Alex. Again, Evelyn, great, amazing story. We we're very happy to have you here. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time here at CHIRLA TV.